Hey there, friends. So I recently had the opportunity to have a one-on-one interview with Justin Esseller, also known as JustinSaiyann. Cool. All right, friends. So I have Justin Esseller here. Esseller. I have Justin here. You guys know him as JustinSaiyann on TikTok and on Instagram. And it is our first, I think, is this your first kind of big cosplay interview?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah? That's exciting. So how did you go? You're almost at 8,000. I think you are 8,000K right now on TikTok. And this is the first interview you've had. How did you get away with sneaking by all this time?
I don't know. I just never really put myself out there. I kind of just post videos and stand there and try to look good.
And it works. It definitely works. So how did you come about cosplay? Yeah, no, it apparently it's working. How did cosplay kind of stumble onto you, or did you stumble on cosplay?
It kind of stumbled onto me. I was just doing like regular, normal, like quote unquote, like straight TikTok stuff when I first joined TikTok. And then
because I'm not on straight TikTok. Can you define to me what straight TikTok is?
Kind of just like almost what I'm doing now, but not in cosplay.
Fair
and then
enough.
like sometimes like the dances and stuff, but I'm not a dancer.
So what was the first initial thing that jumped you into cosplay? Was it a particular character, or did you just see someone and kind of really want to do it?
Well, I also started out doing like outfits like inspired by like characters and stuff. So it'd be like kind of like almost a cosplay. Yeah. But it'd be more like outfits inspired by them, like their color schemes and stuff, or like stuff that they kind of wear.
Are you into fashion too? Is that something that you really like?
I was for a little bit, but now that I don't really go out as much, I don't really care that much. So
I will say that's kind of everyone right now. Thank you, pandemic. Times 3, I think at this point. We're heading into our 3rd year of pandemic. So how has cosplay changed your life? And
it's changed it so much. I know so many more people now. I feel like I have so many more friends. I get to do a lot of fun things. It's amazing. I used to be a server who like was a personal trainer, and then now I really just work from home. I get to dress up as my favorite characters and do little videos. And
so if someone had to ask, or if someone was looking at JustinSaiyann, what cosplay would they know you as? Like, what's the number one cosplay you think you get recognized for?
I feel like I go through phases, probably, when people recognize me. I mean, I think Hawks probably was one of the first ones I did that really,
I will say Hawks was a very big one. That is one that I think I know you from. I think that one and Nightwing are the two big ones for me.
And then Toji now lately.
I don't know where Toji comes from. That's the one with the tie, right?
No, Anonymous, I guess. Right. It's from Jujutsu Kaisen, but it's like a pretty new anime. It's really good. You should definitely watch it.
That's what I'll add it to the list of the many cosplay and shows that I need to watch. But tell me more about all of these opportunities that you have gotten. What have been some of the big notable ones?
I've got to go to a actual like Hollywood premiere like in September for Shang-Chi, which was really amazing. I didn't think I would ever be at like something like that. And even just getting into cosplay, I didn't think I would ever get like to go to something like that. So
I mean, I like that because it is really great to have, representation at these shows. So that kind of just leads me into the thick of it, I love that you're just really flowing into these. But, my big question to you is, when you started cosplay, did you feel like you were stepping into a role of representation, or is that something that you kind of discovered along the way, or do you not feel that at all? Do you feel like you're just doing it for the fun? Yeah,
it's like something that I started along the way, or stumbled upon along the way, I think, because I started out mostly just doing like the anime stuff, and like I'm Asian, so it's like no one's really gonna say anything.
Wait, hang on, you're what? No, I didn't see that coming. I'm so sorry.
But then like as I get more into like I guess the DC and Marvel stuff, I feel like a big minority in it, like not sure if I should cosplay certain people or this and that.
What do you mean by that? Like you're not, because can you break that down for me? I don't want to say something untoward.
I don't know. I feel like Marvel and DC have a lot of white characters. There's not really like any like Asian characters that I can cosplay, but then like I guess like as I've learned from like all my friends and people like you, it doesn't really matter what the race of the character is.
I will say though, even despite you saying that, and thank you for the praise, I'll take that all the time, there still is a little bit, even for me, I want to say hesitation or secondary thought of, you know, is this going to get negativity because myself as a African American doing Natasha, who's this Russian woman, is this going to get backlash? And there is a little bit of you fuck it, if you will, that you have to put into some of these cosplays that you do, because you know, despite who you are, if you don't look exactly how these people expect the character to look, you're going to get backlash, or you're going to get negative comments. So do you find that you get that? Is that what you're kind of leading towards? Not that I'm trying to lead the witness, but
yeah, basically like that. And then like it's a lot like maybe self-comparison also, because then you'll see these other people that maybe you're mutuals with or you see, and then they do that same character and they get more like praise than you and this and that.
Well, we do have a significant amount of mutuals who do look strikingly like the actors that portray them, and so there is a little bit of you know, I myself find myself envious of that as well.
But at the end of the day, like, it's not like a competition or anything. We're not competing for any actual roles or anything like that. It's all for fun. And then if you like it, you feel like the character while you're doing it. I think that's the most important thing to like take away from it. But there is always that small, like little like voice in your head that is like, oh, like, should I do this? Like, what about all these other people's opinions? Or like, so-and-so does it so much better. Should I even do this?
Is it like an imposter syndrome that you have to deal with?
Not imposter syndrome as much as like, is it worth me like doing this character?
So how often do you feel, I guess, discouraged to do certain characters? Or have you found yourself completely dismissing a character that you actually like because of these thoughts?
Not recently, but I think a little bit before, like definitely Spider-Man was one, even though Spider-Man's like one of my favorites.
It's one of your biggest ones.
My favorite heroes. I know.
Videos of you as Spider-Man.
It's just
interesting.
Because like, I don't know, there's never been like any like Asian Spider-Man except for like Silk, but then
right, but it's a female, so unless you're going to be doing a gender bend, I will have to say that is difficult. And I know that this isn't a new conversation. I think the conversation of Asian representation has been around for a while. And it almost seems like, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, you know. It's almost as if when we give you Asian, you know, like Shang-Chi, we give you that, it's great, but can we have more? That's one, you know. And it almost seems like sometimes these companies, Disney, Marvel, will throw you a bone to placate you, but really would serve the grander purpose.
It would honestly really be awesome if we could get like an Asian superhero that isn't like from Asia or has to do like with Asian stuff.
Right. Not to say, again, please don't take Shang-Chi away, and we're glad that we have it, you know, thank you for that. But it would be nice, you know. I'm reminded of Jake Long, the American Dragon, way back when, you know. It's a great show. It was just an American kid.
And I loved that show growing up. I think it was like perfect.
It was perfect.
But it's not like a lot to ask for, but it is kind of a lot to ask for, especially because there's still like the Black community like fighting for their representation, and it's still really new, so we can't just butt in and be like, hey, what about us also?
No, you can't.
Like,
that's just it.
Or we can, but like we can't take away from other people also, especially so soon. And a lot of times I see like a lot of people just asking for it instead of like actually like fighting for it, like what you see a lot in the Black community. Like they'll take the backlash and this and that, and it works. And like a lot of people don't see that. They just see like, oh, now Miles is popular, but they didn't see like, not even a few years ago, like people hated Miles and this and that just because he's Black and blah blah blah. Right,
but now that it's mainstream, it's cool to like him, you know.
Yeah.
And the thing about Miles is everyone is trying to claim him for one side or the other, either his Dominican roots or his Black, but he's both, or his Puerto Rican, his Puerto Rican roots or his Black roots, but he's both. He is both Hispanic and Black, and it shouldn't be a fight between the two. But I get what you're saying, but then what is the solution to that? You know, we could use the Spider-Man as an example. So then is the challenge to you to create your own OC character and popularize him? Like, is now the work all on you as a cosplayer to make the representation?
maybe a little bit, and also like ask for it also from like people, artists and stuff like that. I mean, like you really do have to be the change that you want to see in the world. You can't just like expect it to happen.
Maybe
Yeah,
then.
and then I think that's why like I'm just like, fuck it, like I'll just do it then, I guess.
I guess so. I mean, I wouldn't mind if we're on the subject. What would your Spider-Man? What would that backstory be? If I'm forcing you on the spot right now, what would that look like?
Dang, I really don't know right now, because then it's like I want like a lot like the Asian American aspect of it, because I feel like being an Asian American in America, it's people don't just assume that you were born here. Like if you're like black or white, they're usually like, okay, like they're from like America, this and that. Or like I could get on like a plane going somewhere and people think like I'm probably like foreign or not from here, just because like I'm Asian. But like if I was white or black, they wouldn't be like assuming, even though like I'm like a second generation, and even though like a lot of like Asian Americans like now are probably like the first generations and stuff like that. It would feel like nice to not feel like, to feel a sense of like belonging, or like that I fit into this.
And I would say it's interesting how, especially with how mainstream comics have become, how important messages like that are. I mean, again, you talked about how Miles Morales was hated for his skin color, and now he's celebrated. We're demanding another Spider-Verse movie. So it's interesting how important and integral these characters are to everyday lives. So I mean, it's incredible what a tiny nugget of representation can do for the greater scope of the world.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe you are the change for that. Maybe we need to see, Justin Esseller putting out an Asian superhero. Make that OC, make that happen.
Something not
that you're coming on this podcast for work, but I'm now giving you missions and challenges. But it takes one person. It takes one person to create change, and maybe this is that moment. Maybe this is your call to action.
Yeah, and definitely like with TikTok a lot, like seeing all these people, it's really great to see the whole like a diversity in like these characters and stuff, especially like in the cosplay community. I'm mostly like on the anime side of cosplay stuff like that, but I definitely love Marvel and DC like a lot. Like I think I watched that more growing up than like anime stuff. I kind of just got into the anime stuff because like, oh, like, I'm Asian. If I cosplay, it'll probably be easier to do like the anime stuff.
You feel like you're forced to do stuff like that because of your skin color or your race?
Definitely at first, like getting into it. And then like branching out of it, I think is also a little hard, because I do want to like do these Marvel and DC heroes, and I do want to like do good on this other side of like the cosplay TikTok and everything.
So what's the fear?
There's not that much hesitation anymore. Like I actually have like a lot planned now that I want to do, but it was definitely just like talking to other people about it helped a lot.
So my question is for you, and you are allowed to tell me, as you have been, no, I don't feel that, but do you feel like part of the reason that you, and I think we've talked about this before, but do you feel like part of the reason that you get these opportunities is because of your skin color or your race, or because you feel like some people are filling quotas?
Actually, honestly, I haven't really gotten that many like opportunities like for myself, I think, just because like I'm Asian or have to fill quotas. It's kind of like I feel like it's because of who I know type thing.
You feel like you have gotten it or you haven't gotten it?
I have not really gotten that many opportunities. Like even though I did go to the Shang-Chi thing, it was mainly like I was like a +1 of like my girlfriend, who is a like
beautiful,
a cosplayer,
amazing, gorgeous cosplayer. But I get it. It is, I don't know then, because for me, you are such a huge pillar in the cosplay community. People know who you are. You are not a small creator. So it's interesting that even being who you are and what you are, that still isn't enough to get you there. Not that we as cosplayers should be going to that. There are obviously other people who should be going over us. But if you're going to pick a cosplayer in this particular sense, why not you?
Yeah.
It's interesting. It would be very interesting to be on the panel for some of these Marvel marketing teams, just to see what they're thinking. But for you, I'd love to know, because I know that you have a huge following and you have a lot of people who you inspire. what would you say to some of these creators or these cosplayers coming up to kind of motivate them? Because I know that there's a lot that you've been through, a lot of trials and tribulations. So can you speak to them about that?
You just definitely have to like commit to it. Like if you want to do it, then you have to do it. Even if people don't support you, then like if it's something you want to do, you might as well do, because you're doing it for you at the end of the day, not for anyone else. And like even if they don't support you, then like they probably shouldn't even be in your life anyway.
And how do you deal with the negativity? How is that something? Do you have a practice, or do you just kind of brush it under? Like, what is your method to get over some of these adversities that you deal with?
Definitely don't feed the trolls, because that's what they're looking for.
What?
They want the
Justin,
interaction from you.
You don't feed the trolls? Come on now.
And it is hard, like, because you see it, and even if you get like a ton of like positive comments, there'll be like one negative comment, and at least for me, like it sticks for like a while, which sucks, because like you like want to pay attention to all the positive comments that you get and this and that. Honestly, it stinks for a little bit, but then like I always kind of like remember this person is probably like 12 or like has a shitty life, and I'm like, why am I gonna like let that like affect me personally? Like honestly, like you should feel sorry for them in a sense that they have to go and take the time out of their day to do that,
right? To lower you, or at least attempt to lower you. It is very telling, but there are those people out there. So it is, I mean, it's really good advice, because no matter what happens, especially when I was starting out, you know, being a Black cosplayer or an unknown, a racially ambiguous cosplayer, that's something I had to deal with, because no one really knew. And even now, people still don't. I mean, I change my hair every day. People still have no idea what I am. And on so many of my videos, like when I did the Muses of Hercules, I had people commenting on my videos like, isn't that blackface? Like, this girl is clearly doing blackface. And so I no matter which way I go, I have people saying I'm not Black enough, I'm not white enough, I'm not Hispanic, all of the above, because nobody knows what I am.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you can't really listen to that, especially as a cosplayer, because you're doing it for yourself. You're inviting these people into your home, and it's not really their place to judge what you've built. So, but my last question to you, what is your greatest motivation? You know, what is the thing that gets you up every day and really pushes you to be JustinSaiyann?
It really depends, honestly, because sometimes I feel like I lose a lot of motivation randomly.
Burnout? Like, is it burnout that you're talking about?
Sometimes like a burnout, sometimes like especially like if you're not seeing growth or interaction with your stuff, you're like, oh, like why am I even gonna post today? Like maybe I'll just like do this next week, this and that. Honestly, it just comes from like the community, I think, like in friends, the positive comments, like meeting people at cons, especially if they're like, oh, like I love your stuff, this and that. And I always like to comment like also like on my mutual stuff, like if I see something really cool, like to help boost people's thing, because like they're really like putting themselves out there like online. So, and like even just a little bit helps, like even just liking someone's thing helps, I think.
So
Not
you
to say
find
like,
your motivation through others.
yeah, basically. Or like when like a movie or something comes out, or like a new series or show, and I'm like obsessed with it, then I'll want to like definitely like
motivating you right now. What is the big thing that is propelling you forward?
Right now, it's the Batman movie that's coming out. I really want to do some Batman stuff. Yes.
I am excited. I am very excited to see you do Robert Pattinson. There's a big thing that Stan Lee once said, and it was, you know, people like Spider-Man because his entire face is covered, and because you don't know who's under there. It could be
exactly. It could be anybody. I think Spider-Man is like a great character for representation, like because it can be literally anybody.
You know, we all want to be a rich, brooding, you know, Batman. And I think that you absolutely could do that well. I think it's time. I think it's time for many, many Asian superheroes. I do, across the board.
I would definitely love to see it.
I appreciate you coming on and talking. Is there anything else you want to say to your fans, to your followers? Let them know where they can find you, and any lasting messages that you want to send to everyone.
Not really, just I mean, hopefully I do like more things like this, maybe put myself out there, show my personality more. And I just really just thank everybody who like follows and like supports me and this and that.
And where can they find you?
On Instagram, TikTok, JustinSaiyann.
Alrighty, guys, thank you so much. This has been Justin.